Over the years, we have seen God's goodness and favour upon the house when it comes to the properties we occupy. When we invest into the acquisition of properties or in capital improvement projects, our focus has less to do with the physical structure and facility itself, but rather what is facilitated inside the four walls. I love how Jacob puts it in Genesis 28. How awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God, the very gateway to heaven. As Pastor Shane and Georgie revealed last week, our theme for 2020 is My Father's House. My Father's House is a house of dreams, of vision and hope for the future. And each week, thousands of people, singles, couples and families walk into My Father's house, and each are a living, breathing testimony of the love of God that's found in Jesus. And this is why we invest into properties and facilities. There are three things we have at the forefront of our minds whenever we look to acquiring or investing into properties, and they are symbol, space and service. It's a symbol that we are committed and want to be part of the local community. It's a space for us to gather for our meetings and Sunday services so we can corporately worship together. And lastly, it's a place we can serve our local community throughout the week. In the coming weeks and months, our attention will turn to two building projects for our Eastern Melton locations.
So the Enjoy Melton story started when we were launched out of the West location's 5 p.m. service, and it was a great journey from the start. We saw a whole bunch of people connected from our local community, and we've had an amazing ride so far. But probably the biggest thing that's been interwoven in our journey has been the search for a building or somewhere, a location that we could do church. Because from the beginning, we were meeting in council buildings or local parks or music schools, storage facilities, whatever we could find, wherever we could find to do church. And that was good for a season and to build some momentum and start to gather interest. But we realized pretty early on that we needed to establish somewhere we could regularly do church in the same location. So one of the amazing things that's happened as part of our journey was when we were searching for a location, we started driving literally street by street through Melton, trying to find somewhere, anywhere that we could do church. And one day I was driving these streets and I parked across the road from a local church that I hadn't had the chance to meet their senior pastors yet. And I was on the phone to Pastor Martin. I said, what do you think if I went in there and just had a coffee with them and get to know him? He says, yeah, go for it. So I drive up their driveway and introduce myself. We have a coffee and God had been working behind the scenes, because what had actually happened that morning, that pastor in the shower, God had spoken to him about Enjoy Church using their facility on a Sunday afternoon. So my mind was blown away. So grateful for what God had done. And one thing led to another, and we were meeting, and we have been meeting in their facility in a 4 p.m. time slot for the last year and a half, and it's been an unbelievable blessing for us. But to be honest, still interwoven in our story is the search for a building of our own, somewhere that we can do our Sunday AM services, which is obviously the ultimate goal when it comes to doing church on a Sunday. And God has done his thing, and through different circumstances of things all fitting together as God does, and as the hand of God is on Enjoy Church, we are going to step into our very own building early next year, which we are so excited about. God is unbelievable, miracle after miracle in the journey of Enjoy Melton. But the building is going to do a number of things, and firstly, it'll be a place for us to meet on a Sunday morning in a morning time slot, which is huge. And I really believe we're going to see growth associated with that. It's going to, just a place for us to do church that looks and feels the way that Enjoy Church does church. And the second thing it's going to do is it will enable us to have a midweek hub. And having a building will be an office for me. It will be a place for us to do community stuff. We're involved to a certain degree when it comes to our local community, but having a hub and a home base to do that from is going to be massive. An important thing that this building is going to do is that when we build a building in the natural, in the physical, that's one thing, but I really believe that as we build this, it's us putting a stake in the ground in the supernatural. It's us putting and stamping a footprint in the supernatural. And I believe that as we build this building in the natural, God is going to unlock and open things in the supernatural. And we are going to see all the stuff that has been spoken and declared and prayed for over Enjoy Melton come to pass. And we're going to see the blessing that is upon this house flow down all the way to Enjoy Melton. We're going to continue to see an impact in our community, lives change, people saved, all the stuff that we see at Enjoy Church week in, week out from our very own home at Enjoy Melton. It's going to be so cool. So we are excited. I'm excited. It's going to be an unbelievable year, 2020 and beyond.
2.5 years ago, we sold our current building in Mulgrave and began a long, face-stretching and testing search for our new location. We are believing in about 2 weeks' time, we will formally take ownership of this property, which is nothing short of miraculous. Bindi, I would say everything about this building, the one we're standing in, is 360 degrees miraculous.
I couldn't agree more. Whichever way you look at it, it's a miracle. From how we found it, to what we paid for it, to its size, its design, and even its position. But what we also see very clearly is the timing of our move, because we are moving in a time where we're relationally and purposefully we are very strong.
Absolutely. Our people genuinely believe God has called us together for such a time as this. The opportunities that we're actually beginning to see are a result of our genuine love for each other. I love Bindi, she loves me, we love our congregation, we love the community that God has placed us a part of. The diversity of our East family really does reflect the diversity we see in our local community, and many of those who now call Enjoy Church home have found us by way of the numerous initiatives being run beyond our Sunday services. Restore has been central to this and is one where we are able to provide spiritual, practical, emotional support to hundreds of vulnerable families. In more recent times, we've even added English classes for our migrant and asylum seeker communities, job clubs, craft clubs, and a whole lot of other family-focused programs such as mainly music.
Our Empire Youth Ministry also has a strong community focus, with 50% of the young people who gather on Friday nights coming from a specialist high school for children with social and intellectual learning difficulties. It has been awesome to see a remarkable increase in their confidence and their self-worth, and to see so many of them make decisions for Jesus in this past year. One of the many things we are excited for in this new building is the opportunity to tap into more and more areas of social inclusion. One of these is for children of families with autism and other sensory needs. Our new building will have purpose-built spaces for these children, and we see these being made available for use during the week.
In my Father's house, everything we will do in this house will ensure that truly no one stands alone.